So there's something that I feel like I'd like to offer that I don't know if you've heard before, Raven, but it really applies to this. And like you started out with this place of choosing right or wrong and making a choice. And there's a big illusion that we actually make choices. And I'd like to demonstrate that with you. A long time ago, I had this idea that like a human being in many ways is just a mathematical computation. Like probably the most complicated mathematical computation on in the universe, right? Because you put these two DNA and just the random choice of even which sperm lands there and which eggs makes us, like 1,000 times more unlikely than you and I, like infinitely actually more. The odds of us showing up are like a million times the lottery, winning the lottery, which is already impossible, right? So we start with this calculation that says it's impossible to begin with, and then all these infinite factors. But there's this, and then we get right into this present moment that's us today. And then I think, well, I should have done this differently in the past. And then if we ask ourselves, was there ever a moment, I don't mean in retrospect, but I mean in the moment that I wasn't doing what I really felt was in my very best interest? I mean, in that moment. And it might be like, even if it's like, I'm on a diet, but I'm eating a piece of cake. It's like, but I really want to taste the cake, right? It's like, I still feel that it's in my highest interest in this moment. I may say that's against my diet, but I really want to do it. And we act like it's a choice, but it's not really a choice because there's never a moment that we're not acting in what we feel is our highest self-interest. There never was. There was never a moment. Now, in retrospect, you might say, well, I could have made a different choice there. But you can't go back and change the choice. In the moment, we're always doing what we feel is in our best interest or what we most want to do or whatever. And so if you look at it in that way, there was never a choice. Because based on the information, who I was, my consciousness, my body, my mind, the information I had, my DNA, the circumstances, whatever, is that we've always made the very best choice we possibly could. Can you imagine that? Can you give yourself the space to feel that for a second? That means you never ever did anything wrong. You never, ever did it wrong. Even dropping a snow globe, I was so excited. And my presence wasn't on the snow globe. It was around my excitement or whatever. It's just like, that was the very best you could have possibly done. So we come to this moment, right? And so the judging in the past is either regret or guilt is what we call it. Means I should have done better, but I couldn't possibly have done better. So regret and guilt make absolutely no sense. Make absolutely no sense because they're about trying to change a past when I was doing the very best I could. I might see things differently now, but the only point I can do something different is now. And then if I think about right now, if based on the past, I've always done what's in my very best interest, is in this moment, I'm always going to do what I feel is in my very best interest. So I don't actually even really have a choice right now. Because I'm just going to do the next thing that I feel in my very best interest. And then what does that mean about the future? I'm always going to do the very best that I can in any moment in the future. So your future is already set. It's done. It's cooked. There's, anxiety, worry are the analogs for guilt and regret. They're the future form of guilt and regret. It's trying to control some future situation. And that's useless because I'm always going to do the very best. This is the spiritual underpinnings of inquiry method, is to understand that there was never a moment, there never is a moment, there never will be a moment when I'm doing my very best. And then there's this mind idea that we've all been taught that's only a part of our culture, thinks that by beating up on ourselves or by thinking or worrying or all that kind of stuff, that we're going to make it somehow different. We don't need any of that stuff. It's unnecessary. It's useless energy rather than just being here in the present moment. being aware, being present for what's happening. It's so beautiful. Every one of us is so beautiful, just doing our very best every moment. And we can just be loving in that space. Doesn't mean sometimes I don't set boundaries or correct behavior if it's inappropriate toward me or whatever, but it means that that I just know we're all doing our very best in whatever given moment, and I start to extend that to myself, and that's what self-love is. That's the quality of self-love.